Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great. So first question is what is Docker? Correct? What is Docker? So guys, when we talk about the Docker, we say Docker is a container management tool. Okay, container management tool. Typically, whenever you say Docker is a container tool, it's a container management tool. You can create a container from this. It's a good tool. It's a very popular tool. It's a hot skills to have in the market right now. Correct? So we all say like that. But the question is, what is the definition of tool? So if you look at the definition of general definition of tools, then whenever we use a new tools, or today you are using new tools that is called Docker, with the new introduction of the tools, we can save our precious time. Correct? Any tools we use over the period of human civilizations, we always use a different tools. Nowadays we change the tools every 2 years, that's a different thing, but we always save time, we save cost money, and then improve efficiency work what we could do manually or any other previous methods. With this you can do much more better than that, so you can improve efficiency. What is a definition of management we know very well, but the question is what is a container? What is a container here? I'm not able to understand. So Docker is a container management tool. I know that with the help of Docker, you can save time, you can save cost, you can improve efficiency, but for what? But for what? That is a question. For what? So here save time, save cost, and improve efficiency to run apps in data center. So when I say data center, that does not mean you cannot run apps in your laptop. You can run. When I say apps, when you say apps, then it can be anything. It can be Jira, it can be Jenkins, it can be Sonar, Cube, it can be Ubuntu is a apps here. RHEL is a apps. Don't don't say operating system anymore. Sonar Cube, Ubuntu is apps, RHEL is apps, right? MySQL is app. Everything is app. So here what you are trying to do, you want to run apps, multiple apps in data center, and same time, which are the apps? It can be anything, Apache, this, that, and all. And you want to save time with this technology. For this, you want to save time, save cost, and improve efficiency. So okay, fine. I got to know Docker is a container management tool. Using this tool, you can save cost, saving time, saving cost, improve efficiency. But for what? Running app. But still, that question is not answered. What is container? What is container? So guys, container is your app. Container is your app. Container is running your app. Running your app. Container is running your app. But still I'm confused, guys. Container is running my app. Docker is managing container. I understand the app means what is app, software, whatever it is. But how? I mean, what exactly this is? So for time being, guys, I would request you to forget about the container and Docker. Forget about it. Let's go into the basics. Basics of computing, the one which we have studied in the first semester of our engineering courses. And some of you might have been practicing later on also. What are the resources we need to run any one apps? Any one app, so all apps will require same. So I'm just trying to learn what are the resources we need to run any one apps or whatever it is. So guys, if I say, okay, if I say, if I say, uh, Nadeem, can you run Jira? Then you will say what? You will ask for what? Or
So
if,
yeah.
yeah, tell me.
So actually, if you want to run any Jira or any app on my machine, I actually need a hardware as well as a environment. Like hardware will be there, then
Mhm.
operating system, definitely operating system will be needed.
Right.
Then if Jira is needed, whatever the for running the Jira, whatever the appropriate means to other software, prerequisite software, if
Mhm.
that needed, that is required to run Jira,
Correct. Yeah, you
like
answer
JDK,
well.
something like that.
Yeah. So prerequisite like a JDK or something, and then Jira we install. Very good answer. But guys, there's something which is missing in between. And that is what we want to know. That is what we want to know. So forget about the Docker, forget about the container, just focus on this question. What are the resources we need to run any one app? So I would rather create a visualization here. Okay, visualization, MS Paint. Okay, so now this is the hardware. Okay, think simple. On the top of that, this is a operating system. Okay, guys, operating system contain what? Anyone? Operating system.
Operating set of rules to use resources.
Anyone else? Operating system. I know that you know. I know everyone knows that. It's just I'm trying to recall this stuff.
Code to interact with hardware.
Nope, nope. I mean, you are telling the right. Everyone is telling right one, but I want to know the exact keyword for it. What we call it. Operating system has what?
Are you kernel? You are saying kernel?
Yes, yes, yes. You have a kernel. Now, guys, those who's having doubts about what is kernel, just put it in Google. What is kernel? And I got to know this is the definition of kernel. What is this kernel? It's a computer program. You see here, it's a program itself. It's a computer program. So operating system has kernel. So here I will have a kernel. Fine. Now guys, the question was, what are the resources we need to run any app? So guys, if I look at it myself, I want to run Jira. Okay, Jira. So what I will do, first thing, I required, I required, I required one user session. One user session. This is the Jira user. Okay. User session. Have you ever run in your lifetime of computing experience with computing? Have you ever run? Let me, someone has asked for joining. Admit. So have you ever run an application without a user? No. Jira, Tomcat, Apache, MySQL. See, I am also Rajesh. This time I have logged into using Rajesh and you see how many applications you are running. Look at this here. Where is the process task manager? Look at this, it's a Windows, same concept in Linux also. See here, this is the detailed view. Look at it. So guys, so many applications I'm running in this machine is running. I am running on system is also running. Have you seen that any application? Just look at this line actually. I will ask you to focus on. Just a second. Look at this. This is application. A lot of application. These all are applications, guys. And have you seen that anyone is user part is empty? See, it's not empty. That means, see, have you seen it's empty? Some of the application is running without a user, either Rajesh or system user. Correct? Are you getting my points?
Yes.
So guys, here the question is, what are the resources we need? So we need a one user, first thing. And then guys, this user, okay, I'll write it. So you need a user. Okay. And then finally, what next you need? You need a file system. File system. Let's say what file system? So if you log in, let's say I logged in. So what should I get it? When I log into machine, I log in. So what should I get it? So here I get it file system, right? See here, C drive, E drive. If you don't have a C drive and E drive, will you be able to run some of the applications in the programs files? Like let's say McAfee's antivirus, MS Office's app. Will you be able to run? No. So you need a file system. What file system, guys? So here we need a mount. Mount here is file system. What file system you needed? So here root file system. Now you want to know root file system. What is a root file system? So can I put it in Google? Can I show you the image? Do you know? Are you comfortable with these images?
Yeah.
So now you got to know what you need. A root file system. Okay. Then you need what? User file system. Okay. User file system. What is a user file system? User file system, let me show you in a simple way. Guys, this is my user file system. This is my user file system. I only can see this file system. No one else can see except root administrator. So you have a desktop, download this, that, and all. This is my file system. This is my space, user space. So guys, I need one user file system, and then top of that, we need an application prerequisite plus application file system, which you said just now. Where it is? Here it is. So all this file system you need it. In short, what we call it mount. So guys, you need a one mount. So here mount, you get it. It's a shared mount. So here one mount. Let me create it. This is the mount. So this mount, if you look at this mount, whatever you create it, it's shared by other users also. So if this is a Akash, so Akash can share the C drive and D drive. This is Jira. Jira can also share the C drive and D drive. Okay. So guys, I got to know two things we need to run application. Plus you need one more thing. You need a PID table. PID table. What is a PID table? So guys, each processes understand simple way. You need a PID table starting with 0 actually. So PID, why it is important? So guys, each processes, let me show you rather than talking. See here, look at it very carefully. It's a Windows also, same concept, something similar with Linux. See here, these are applications which is running. All our application 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think someone has come in just now. These are the what do you say? These are the applications. These are the applications. And now do you see here? This is the process ID. How this process ID is coming? Have you seen the any two applications has the same PID? Have you seen this? Anyone? Have you seen this? Guys, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you seen this two PID for the same two PID for the two different same PID for the same two different applications?
No.
No.
No. How come? First of all, why do we need a PID? And second thing, how come it's unique? How come it's unique? Two questions. So guys, PID basically, if you go back again, PID is a way to trace the CPU allocation and RAM allocation. If you are in operations, you know that you've been doing all this thing. I want to know which are the process ID which is consuming more CPU. Why you say process ID? Why you say like that? Because PID is a unique identifier in your system which get attached to each application. One application, one PID. You see that? You see that? One application belongs to one PID, and that PID get a CPU allocation and a RAM allocation. Look at this here. This is the CPU and this is the memory. Now who assigned this? This is assigned by C groups in your laptop, I mean kernel. So here we need a one PID allocations. So in this image, we get one PID. By the way, in the system, PID is being shared by everyone. Every user share the same PID. Okay. Every user. So here, what I am going to get it. See here. Think simple. What are the resources we need to run any application? So we need a hardware. You need an operating system. Operating system has kernel. Kernel will have a one user for one app I'm talking about. Okay. One user can run multiple app also, that's a different thing, but I'm not talking in that context. User, then mount and a PID, and one more thing, guys, this application you are running, think simple, this application you are running. So this running because of PID, CPU and RAM you are getting because of the PID allocation, and file system is getting from the mount. But I want to access this app from the outside. Outside means outside. So what do we need here for outside accessing the app? What do we need, guys? What do we need?
Network interface.
Network. Yes, network. So here we need a one network here. Whatever the network a system gets it, it's shared by the all the user again. See here. This is the network. So last one, which is a network. Okay. Now these are the four resources we needed. These are the four resources we needed. Now PID get CPU allocation C groups, assign CPU and RAM. If you have an interest to study more about the internal system internal, you can take it offline. But guys, this guy, this guy user is a root user or a non-root user. Who decides? Tell me. Any user can become a root user or a non-root user. Who decides?
Operating system.
Everything decided by operating system. But in operating system, what we have?
Kernel.
Kernel. And kernel have what? Who decide the user should be root user or non-root user? So here, yeah. So I was talking about, I was talking about this PID, right? This PID. No, sorry. I was talking about the user. So user whose user is getting the user non-root or root. How it's been decided? So you know that is decided by capabilities. Okay, decide assign root or non-root. So now guys, all this thing in the kernel. But you know what? This user is being created from where? From what you know? User namespace. What is a namespace? Guys, namespace is also mount namespace. NS, I'm in short, I'm typing it here. Mount namespace. I'll talk about what is a namespace concept. PID namespace. And net namespace. So guys, do you know what is the concept of class and object? I'm sure many of you have been doing coding or still doing coding or at least studied in colleges time. Or class and object. Do you know?
Yes. So class is the behavior and property description, and object are the instances of it. Right.
So how many object we can create from class?
Infinite.
Infinite. You answer my question actually. So guys, if you really want to know what is a namespace, so think simple. What is a kernel first of all? So kernel is a computer program. In the kernel itself, all the computer program, they have classified into multiple as per the functionality. I would say like a 4 classes. It's not 4 more than that, but I'm just explaining you. So here we don't call in a kernel, we don't call these programs classification as a class. We call it namespace. So you want to see that? Let me show you here. Kernel namespace. Okay. And here, see. Okay. So this kernel you see here. This is a kernel of Linux, almost something similar in Windows also. See here, this is I was talking about the network namespace. See the namespace, Linux namespace, kernel namespace, and type. These are the type. So I'm just correlating it. Network namespace, CC groups, mount, PID, user. Okay, so these are the I was talking about actually. Okay, so what is happening in the kernel namespace, because a program, these they call it namespace. Concept is namespace. From the user namespace, you only answered right. From the user namespace, how many user you can create? Can create? You tell me. How many?
Infinite users.
Infinite. Yes, infinite. You can create infinite. It's just a concept in the same way. So infinite. Guys, how many mount you can create? Mount means, you know what? Mount means C drive and D drive, something like that. I'm just correlating that. Whatever you use every day. That means if you have a kernel has a mount MNS, mount NS, MNT NS we call it. Just now I shown you. Here you see here somewhere mount MNT here mount. So how many you can create a mount? Infinite. But how do you get how many C drive and D drive you see that in an operating system? How many? Guys, how many allowed by operating system? How many C drive you have seen in your laptop?
Only one.
Have you seen one operating system, one kernel, two mount, two true C drive?
No.
See here, technically we can create as many, but operating system is not allowing more than one. How many PID you get it? Multiple infinite. It's just a program. You can initiate multiple times, as many times. Class object. You only said object and can create infinite. But how many PID table you get it?
One.
PID one. Right now, those who are having the still problem with the PID table understanding, let me explain you in a simple way. When you have a one PID, you start with a 0. Okay, always PID start with a 0. and then they run some system process 1, 2, 3 and all something like that. Now I will log in. See, I will log in. This is Rajesh Kumar has login. I'll become a 3. Okay, my PID will become 3. But Rajesh will log in, start Apache, Tomcat, and MySQL. So now this will become a 4, 5, 5, and 6. This is the PID. I'm not able to drop it like this. So here in this total graph, I am the kid. I'm the child of this guy. But this guy, Apache process ID, is a child of me. Okay, are you getting my points? So if you see here, everyone is a child of someone actually. But where you see my child, you want to see my child here, Rajesh Kumar. See here, all this you can see, starting with Rajesh Kumar. See here, all these are my child actually. That means they have got born from me, but I got born from someone else, which is somewhere close to C0. I mean, indirectly, everyone's parent is 0. I mean, I would say super parent is 0. Make sense? Are you getting my points?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So now here, how many PID table you get it? 1. But how many create it? Infinite. How many network you get it typically? 1. And how many create it? Infinite. Because you only answered. I said namespace is nothing but something like a conceptual stuff of something similar to class. So how many you can create? Infinite. How many allowed? 1, 1, 1. But guys, the question was not this. How many need? Buy one app. I repeat, need. Look at my screen here. I said, I ask need. Just need. Talk about the need. Buy one app. So guys, need for one app. I need one user, one MNT, one PID, one network. So guys, I hope now you understand what are the resources we need to run one app. So actually, we want to run any one app. For that, I need one user, one MNT, one PID, one network, and that applications will become independent. Okay, C groups take care of the PID allocation of CPU and RAM. Capability decide this particular user is root or non-root. So the question is answered. Correct? Any confusion so far?
Good.
But guys, question was something different. The question was, what is container? What is container? So think simple again. See what is happening. Evolution of computing. What is HIF? In the 1990s, okay, we were running applications in applications. It's all about application, guys. It's all about applications. We were running applications in what? Tell me. Everyone? Guys,
Maybe DOS or Linux.
physical
Mainframes.
server. Physical server, right? Correct now? In 1990s, we were running applications in a physical server. But suddenly, you know what? We got the internet. We all got the internet, correct? So what was happening? Let me show you here pictorially. In a data center, think about it. When we got the internet, then the trend has popped up for running the application not in your laptop.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
But running in a data center and you access it through browser. So what has happened in the data center? We run application in the host machine. Only one host machine I'm showing you. OK, think simple. Now your peak time, your RAM requirement is 16 GB. And when you have a least traffic, your RAM requirement is 3 GB. So tell me, you will procure your hardware with a 16 GB or 3 GB? Tell me.
$16 GB.
Of course, you must be laughing on me why I'm asking stupid question. Of course, we will procure 16 GB. But guys, your average utilization is 4 GB or 5 GB or something like that. Let's make it 4 GB. Average 24 daily average. I'm saying average, not a peak, not lowest, average. So look at this. How many you are wasting per day? 12 GB. Now let's say you are running a data center in hundreds of physical server. So 12 GB is equal to 100. So every day you are wasting 1200 GB of resources. That is going waste. It's a waste, right? Now, you know one thing, guys, these resources which is dedicated for the production, you cannot assign to someone else also. Let's say you cannot say, have you seen someone saying, OK, listen, production is down. You do one thing, use the 5 machine for the testing purpose, or that machine you use for the development purpose. Have you seen this? No, we don't share the production server with anyone. Not anyone within a project of the QA and dev, or not any other projects on it and other departments. Because dev server is dev server. Correct? So we don't share. But guys, the question was not like how much we waste. The question is, are you making money? Let's say you are running Yahoo, Orkut used to run, Hotmail, Rediff. Many services used to run, right? Have we paid for those services? No, you are not paying. You are using free of cost and wastage is too high. They make money, little bit of money from the ads. Remember, Microsoft got richer. Microsoft was luckiest company, right? Microsoft got richer. We paid for their software without using it in advance through CDs. But when the internet got arrived, and when we started consuming internet based application, we are using and using and using free software we are using, and then end of it, if out of 1,001 people wants to go to the premium services, then you'll go from the 50 GB to 500 GB, and then you'll pay 200 rupees per month extra. Correct, no? And then of course they run ads and they make money out of it also, but little bit. Getting your points? Guys, are you there?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah.
So the question is, one side you are not paying. Second side, I am having so much of cost for running application in a data center. So what I would do? So guys, there are so many things you can do, but right now I'm not talking about those stuff. Then we got, you know what? We got a virtualization technology. Virtual, and you all are using virtualization technology. So I'm not going to talk about what is virtualization. It's a pretty old technologies there from last 25 years. So you should know. OK, so virtualization. So now what is virtualization happening? Look at this. So now this is the entire capacity of hardware you have. On top of that, we install the kernel, and top of that hypervisor. This hypervisor, can you name it some of the hypervisor name, guys? I'm not able to recall. Name
VMware.
VMware, one of the popular one, right? So hypervisor. VMware, Hyper-V, Zen, KVM, vSphere, many hypervisors are there. And this is a heavyweight hypervisor. I repeat, heavyweight means this kind of hypervisor consumes so much of CPU and so much of RAM. On top of that, what we do on hypervisor, we create VM, 1 VM, 2 VM. And inside the VM, what do you have, guys? Tell me. Guys, what do we have in the inside the VM?
Operating system.
Operating system. Think simple. Operating system. And operating system to run my application, let's say Apache, what do we need? One user, one mount, one PID, one network. One user, one mount, one PID, one network. All is powered by operating system. You know that. Correct now? Only one I need it. Okay. So now if you have additional hardware remaining, you can give it to the dev team, QA team or something else. You can do that with that. So your wastage got reduced. If you have a more requirement, get more machine, get and run your Apache applications here. So guys, what happened? What happened? Virtualization technology came. Remember, think simple. Virtualization technology offered saying that, okay, I will allow you to create one user, one network, one mount, one PID, because you have operating system here also, here also, here also. So this application run, application run, application run, and that you can access from outside. So virtualization technology help you to save lots of money, right? Application, see here, save cost, virtual machines you can run within less time and helping you to improve efficiencies. But guys, it's a 2020 right now. 2020. Guys, if I look at this here, earlier we were using internet. You know, from last few years, internet is using you. Yeah, you don't know, but you are using internet knowingly and unknowingly. You think I'm not in front of internet, but internet is also already using your mobile, your laptop, your fridge, your TV, your different devices. They're consuming you. You never log in nowadays. Do you log in? Let's say Google Pay, WhatsApp, Gmail, in your mobile I'm talking about. Do you log in? No, it's already logged in. Session is active. Mail is being pulled out all the time, day and night. You are using unknowingly. You think you are not using internet? So guys, when you are using the internet 24/7, not only 3 to 4 hours in a day, that means server need to have a more compute, more storage, more CPU, right? And on top of that, you are not paying for it. Have you paid for the Facebook saying that you are uploading so much of photos? Have you paid for the video YouTube complaining about there you are uploading so much of videos? No. So guys, the virtualization is not helping us. Virtualization is not helping us. So what do we do in this case? Tell me. You suggest me now. Every answer you have, you just have to correlate all the discussions. I will give you some time to think. Become an architect now. What you will do? Look at this. What are the resources we need to run app? I want to run app cheaper way. These are the resources you need. Remember, need 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. This is the virtualization model right now. Do you find any drawbacks here? In short, I'm giving you a clue. Can we run more app? Let's say the capacity of this hardware is 10 app. Can we run 100 app in this machine? With the virtualization technology, you can maximum run 10 app. Can we do something adjustment in this and run 100 app? Same hardware. Think. Think.
Use single OS for all servers.
Yes, guys, you got it correct. Let's do that. You know what? You want to run 3 apps, but how many operating system you are running? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This all 4 operating system, each consuming CPU, RAM, storage, licensing cost. So can we avoid this wastage? Can we avoid? So let's do that. Let's do that. So guys, here what I'm doing right now, think simple. I'm considering your advice. This is the hardware. Okay. Okay. This is the hardware. And this is your kernel. Kernel will get me one mount, one network, and one PID. One user I created, 2 user created, 3 user created. In the last image, 3 applications, 1, 2, 3. How many operating system? 4. In this architecture, 3 applications, 1, 2, 3. How many operating system? 1. Got it? Is it possible or not?
Yes.
But guys, you have not thought about one thing. Very good architecture. We are going on the right path actually. Apache runs on 80 port. Agree?
Agree. Yeah.
Will you be able to run this Apache on 80 port?
No.
So think about it, how the load balancer will work in the data center. I need all 3 Apache to load balance. This will not run. This will not run. So again, you can run only one Apache. Now think simple. This application is using Java 6. Can I set Java 7 here? Isolation? No. One compute, one file system, right? Environment. This Apache is running 50 PID. Can we have a 50 PID here also? No. This Apache is writing a files in C drive Apache. If you write this Apache also C drive Apache, don't you think data integrity problem will happen? Correct? Correct?
Yeah.
Guys, are you getting my points?
Yeah, Raj.
Yeah.
So technically, theoretically, yes, you can run Apache. 3 Apache you can run. Just change the port. Change the automatically PID will be changed and change the C drive A1, A2, whatever it is. Yes, you can run technically 3 Apache, but actually 3 Apache will not be isolated, will not be independent from each other. These 3 applications will not be independent. Your PID will be same, change port has to happen. You cannot use this Apache and this Apache from the load balancer. It's a waste. So what do we do in this case? Look at this table, guys. Can create and a need and allowed. Are you finding something here? Think you have answer with you. Infinite can create, but you need only one, whereas the allowed by operating system only one.
Users can be different.
Change user.
User is anyways different, sir. Here, if you look at this user, anyways different. 1, 2, 3 user. But the problem is other things. Mount is a problem. PID is a problem. Network is a problem. Network. See, this user is sharing same network, same mount, same PID. same network, same mount, same PID, same network, same mount, same PID. That is a problem. Are you getting my points?
Yeah, actually, I think we need any a between interface over there, in between that.
Yeah. So what exactly we should do as a problem statement? You know, the problem you see here, just every answer you have here only. What we should do, you know, I'm creating one more user. Think simple. Think simple. This user I created. One more I'm user creating it. One more user. Now what you are doing, you know, see here. This C drive and E drive, whatever you have mount and network and PID, this is shared by all three users. But technically, I can create multiple C drive. You see here, infinite. You only said someone said I can create multiple infinite. How many need? One. So what I will do? Who will create this multiple mount? Mount NS. Where is this kernel? So guys, here I will ask kernel, do one thing, sir. For this user, no, create one different C drive, not shared one. For this user, create a different C drive. So that means this user will log in here. He will see this C drive. The one will not be shown to this guy. He'll be having his own multiple C drive. You see here, infinite, you only suggested. How many need it? Correct. But operating system is not allowed, but it's okay. We'll talk to operating system later. But right now, we will ask a kernel to create a mount. So this user got separate mount, this user got separate mount. Now we will ask PID to create for this user. This PID to create a user. This network to be created for the user. This network to be created for the user. Now you tell me this Apache is running. Can it run on 80 port? Yes, new network. Can he run on 50 PID? Yes, independent PID. Can he run on C Apache? Yes, same thing. This Apache also same thing. But the problem is, theoretically it is possible. Correct, no? If I look at this infinite, and a need for app 111. So here, this app, you got one user, one mount, one PID, one network, one mount, one PID, one network, one user. But guys, there's a problem. See here, in the operating system, you can create as many users you wanted. That's true. But you are allowed to create only one. Are you getting my points? What I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yep.
So what to do now, guys? I want to save cost. Virtualization, 3 application, 4 operating system. I cannot tolerate this much of wastage of cost in data center because you guys are living on the internet now. We need a more compute, more CPU, more RAM, less licensing cost, and we want to run application in data center so you can use day and night. Billions of people are using those applications without a paying. We want to make this application runtime environment cost effective. That means data center runtime environment should be very cheap, very fast, and all stuff like that. In a short, I'll tell you here these 3 points. I want to save time. Save time for what? Deploying the application. I want to deploy 10,000 application in 1 second. Yes, I repeat, 1 second I said. I want to reduce the software running cost, and same time, if I save more time and cost, I can spend more time on the code quality and test quality. My improvement efficiency will be improved. I can do much more than that. So if my team can develop a software in 1 week, 1 feature, maybe after this, two features in 1 week, something like that. So, but the problem here is, guys, this all dreams are okay. It's cool. But operating system companies are saying, no, big no. They say, I will not allow you to create more mount, more PID, more network. No. Why? Then we ask why you will not allow? Why Windows guys, Linux guys, Linux or Microsoft, why you are not allowing? We need that because we want to save cost. We need that. Ultimate objective is to run applications. Then operating system company says, why? Because you remember, I developed operating system, the one which you are using for PC. What is a PC stand for, guys?
Personal computer.
Yeah. So guys, personal computer. Personal means personal, not for the data center. Simple. Personal means this operating system, the one which you are using right now in your data center, actually was not a design for data center. It was designed for human being. Remember evolution of computing in 1970s? We should be, every individual should have one compute unit. Using that, he can do all the compute faster, better. Correct? At that time, internet were not there. At that time, that concept of distributed computing were not there. So this operating system architect was designed for PC, for human. But now what we are doing? We are running a data center with that. So operating system said, no, I will not allow. Why? Because what about my users who is using my operating system day and night? If I change, if I allow, think simple, if I allow to create a multiple C drive, multiple PID and multiple network, my user will get confused because they are not prone to technology so much. They want to be using that so computer need to access application. They don't want to get into the complexity. Then this guy came. Okay. Okay. This guy. This guy said, Solomon Hykes. This guy said, no problem. I understand your limitation. You cannot allow, but I can do something better than that. So what I can do is I can write a wrapper on top of your operating system only. Simple solution. I will write a wrapper top of your operating system. This wrapper. And this wrapper you will do what, you know? This wrapper will directly talk to the kernel. Okay. And kernel has all the namespaces. This wrapper will create a user. I'll change the color. See, think simple. This kernel, this Docker will request kernel, give me one user namespace, one. So kernel gave it. Then this wrapper asks kernel, give me one mount. Mount means file system, C drive, D drive, like that. And they assigned to this user. They give me one PID. Give me one network. And then this mount had applications. Remember, mount means what? Mount I said, right? Remember? See here. Root, user, app. So this applications got run Apache happily. So this Apache is having all their own resources here and managed by this wrapper. Something similar happened this. So now your user, this is not getting impacted. Not at all. So guys, do you have any idea? Do you have any idea what this wrapper is being called? Any guesses? Hello?
Images.
Uh-huh. What is this called?
Container.
And this is?
A Docker.
Docker. See here, no? What is Docker? Container management tool. Okay. So guys, here, this is your container managed by Docker directly with the help of kernel. And now, how many users you can create? You see here, infinite. Each user, see here, I'll tell you now technically. You are also container only. I'm also container. We all are containers actually. But you know what? This is container, this is container, this is container. But the problem here is we are unfortunate container. Why? Because this user share the same C drive. Shared one. Share the same PID. Share the same network. But this user is luckiest one. This is called container is luckiest one. They got their own C drive, own mount, own network, own C drive, own mount, own network with the help of Docker. Are you getting my points or not, guys?
Yes.
So actually, what is container now? So guys, now let's define this. I told you, right? Container is your app running your app. Here is running your app. So container is a initialization of user namespace with one attached mount namespace, PID namespace. What is that last one? Network namespace. Now, if you read the Google and all, you will find this definition. A container is a application runtime independent applications runtime environment running independently with all resources required, something like that. So guys, did you understand what is a container? Actually, we all are containers only, but we are controlled by operating system. We are shared one, but these guys are independent one, but managed by this container is managed by whom? Docker. That is the reason we call Docker is a container management tool. Make sense? Now guys, you want to run more app? No problem. Remember, there's no operating system, only one operating system. Mind it here. In this whole image, there's only one operating system. How many containers you want? One. How much time it takes? Milliseconds. Getting my points? So guys, any questions now? Did you understand that what is Docker managing the container and what is a container? Did you understand all of you?
Yes.
Okay, guys. So here Docker is having two versions release. Okay, they have a two release. They have a community edition and they have an enterprise edition. I'm teaching you community edition right now. More about community versus enterprise, you can just Google it, you'll get a more detail. The release version which we have right now is I think 20x. Okay, and it's an open source product and free community. This one open source and written in Golang. Now by Solomon Hykes, which I have shown you. Solomon Hykes. So this is an introduction about the Docker and container. Now next questions which I'm going to explain to you. What is explaining to you? What is what is the workflow of Docker, component of Docker, how to install Docker, and finally life cycle of container, working with the containers. Working with containers. So this is the 4 topic I will cover. Any questions anyone have before that?
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, I have 1 or 2 questions basically.
Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah. So when we create a container, do we define how much RAM is required for that container?
Yes,
Or-
you can define. You can define. Ultimately, this all containers is a process. Okay, for the host machine. You are also process, by the way. I'm also process. You all are process. See here, you can see that one of you logged in, right? So one of your process will become you will be process. I told you, right? One image here. Remember, this is a Rajesh. Rajesh is a PID 5. It's a process. Then you run multiple application, that will be your child process. So ultimately this process get the CPU allocation, RAM allocation from the kernel only. That who's assigning that? C groups. Correct?
Okay.
More
Okay,
questions?
so depending upon my usage, the RAM, whatever the host machine is there, okay, I can use all the RAM of that machine in that case.
Yes,
it's a
yes.
dynamic-
You can assign, okay, this user, this container can only use this much of CPU, this much of RAM. You can assign. In fact, in Windows also that is possible. Let me check if, see, this process consume high. It used to be there in the older version of software operating system. You can assign more CPU, more RAM. Right now, I'm not able to locate here. Here they are only given high priority and lower priority, but earlier used to set that how much. So you can set it up. C groups, you can do that. I'll show you in the container.
So the major difference between the container and the virtual machine is only the we are having only one OS, okay, for the container, and for the for the virtual machine we are having multiple OS. Hence it was heavy. That's the only main
No,
difference.
I would say virtual machine has a OS. Okay,
Yeah.
think simple. Virtual machine has a OS. Container is not having OS.
Right.
See here, container was not having, kernel was having here. This is OS. Here you are not having OS. You had a root file system, but not a boot file system, which is this one, kernel.
Okay, so that's the only major difference between the container and the virtual.
Container is not having OS, so that is what I was optimizing it, right? Here 3 application, 4 operating system and heavyweight hypervisor. Here what I did, now 3 applications, only 1 operating system and very lightweight Docker. Got it? So what ultimately you did, you still running the application, but save CPU, RAM, storage and licensing cost, and that you are getting benefit in the data center.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.